It's August 13th, 2016, a humid summer night in a Maryland suburb. While most people scroll through headlines about Clinton versus Trump, something extraordinary is happening online. A message appears on GitHub. To most people it seems like a joke, a weird stunt by somebody seeking attention, but for a small group of cybersecurity experts, this post is nothing short of an earthquake. It's written in broken English, but the meaning is crystal clear. The NSA has been hacked. The target is no ordinary one. It's the NSA's most sophisticated unit, the Equation Group.
Equation Group.
The creators of Stuxnet and other James Bond-like cyber weapons. Their tools aren't just malware, they're the digital equivalent of stealth bombers. And now, someone has stolen them. The message is accompanied by proof, files ripped straight from the NSA servers, tools capable of infiltrating almost any system on the planet. And in the months that follow, these leaks will spark ransomware attacks like WannaCry and NotPetya.
And the consequences were beyond economic, put lives at risk, not just money.
Hospitals, banks, and corporations will be paralyzed, and billions of dollars will be lost. This is the story of how a mysterious hacking group known as the Shadow Brokers brought the NSA to its knees, and how they carried out one of the most successful hacking operations in history. The story is one of those rare times where the target matters more than the perpetrator, and in this case, the target is the Equation Group. So who are the Equation Group? When cybersecurity companies investigate hacking campaigns, they often can't definitively identify the attackers. Instead, they assign code names to the hackers based on patterns, tools, or origins linked to the attacks. For example, Fancy Bear is a code name attributed to a Russian hacking group with ties to military intelligence. Charming Kitten is the code name for an Iranian hacking group associated with espionage, and Lazarus Group is tied to North Korea, and so on. However, when the Russian cybersecurity company Kaspersky was investigating a certain malware, that malware came straight from the NSA, so a code name was given to the NSA hacking unit. The name that they were given was Equation Group. This mysterious unit is among the most well-funded and advanced who have been involved in some of the most controversial and infamous cyber attacks in world history, such as Stuxnet, which is a malware that crippled Iran's nuclear weapons program. They have the budget and ability to spend years on research and development to make insane tools and then use them whenever they need to. When you look through the tools that they've created, it looks like the work of science fiction, but these are all real devices. Let me point out a few to you. They've developed a device known as Cottonmouth, which resembles a standard USB plug similar to what you'd find on a mouse or a keyboard. This device is designed to intercept and wirelessly transmit all data passing through it, capturing everything from mouse clicks to keystrokes. Then there's Dropout Jeep, a piece of software that once it's on an iPhone can pull all sorts of data from it. Text messages, contacts, voicemails, and it even lets someone turn on the mic and camera remotely. On top of that, it can track and send the phone's location. But one of my favorites is called RageMaster. It's a small device that plugs into any VGA port, the one that connects your computer to your monitor, and once it's in, it can wirelessly transmit everything that's displayed on your screen, essentially cloning your monitor and letting someone else see what you're seeing from a distance. So to put it simply, for many hacktivists around the world, penetrating the Equation Group is more than just a challenge, it's symbolic.
Attention government sponsors of cyber warfare and those who profit from it. How much you pay for enemies' cyber weapons, not malware you find in networks. We find cyber weapons made by creators of Stuxnet, Duco, Flame, Kaspersky. Calls Equation Group. We hack Equation Group. We find many Equation Group cyber weapons. You see pictures. We give you some Equation Group files free, you see. This is good proof. No, you break many things. You find many intrusions, you write many words, but not all. We are auction the best files.
This was the grand entrance of the Shadow Brokers, the group behind the hack. Whoever wrote this message on GitHub clearly wasn't a native English speaker, but maybe it's on purpose, to throw investigators off the trail. Basically, the message says that Shadow Brokers had successfully hacked the NSA's Equation Group and stolen a vast arsenal of cyber weapons. The entire collection had been uploaded online but was password protected and encrypted. Instead of releasing all of the files at once, they were going to be auctioning off everything to the highest bidder, setting the price at a staggering 1 million Bitcoin, which was almost $500 million at the time. As proof, the shadow brokers provided a sample, a zero-day malware exploit specifically targeting Cisco and Fortinet firewalls. This tool allowed hackers to compromise even fully patched systems, granting them complete control over the firewalls. Shortly after the leak, Cisco and Fortinet confirmed that they had no idea these vulnerabilities existed and issued an emergency patch right away. So it's real. The NSA had actually been hacked, and the news spread fast.
We're learning more about the dangerous hacker group responsible for the cyber attack that targeted computer systems around the world last week.
Major outlets like The Guardian, The Atlantic, Wired, and even the New York Times picked up the story. This was a huge deal, grabbing the attention of the world. Panic quickly followed across U.S. cybersecurity defense teams. The FBI, now at the center of the investigation, is now tasked with answering the biggest questions of all. Who are the shadow brokers? How did they get these, and how many more exploits do they have? The hunt officially begins.
Civilian and military who have all concluded that these espionage attacks, these cyber attacks, come from the highest levels of the Kremlin, and they are designed to influence our election.
It was the Russians who did this. Maybe this hack was their work as well. Or perhaps maybe it was an inside job, an NSA agent who decided to go rogue, a new Edward Snowden. But then again, it could just be a group of talented hackers looking to cash out. After all, the shadow brokers are asking for a huge sum of money, 1 million Bitcoin to be exact. That's 1 million Bitcoin preventing the entire US cyber arsenal from being published to the world. James B. Comey, the head of the FBI, is gravitating towards the third scenario. The FBI is closely monitoring the auction. It's been a little more than 24 hours since it started, and they're keeping a close eye on the Bitcoin address posted by the shadow brokers. So far, the auction has raised a grand total of, wait for it, 1.5 Bitcoin, less than $1,000. Nowhere near the 1 million Bitcoin that they were hoping for. It's a big disappointment for the shadow brokers. On the other hand, it's bad news. No one really knows what the shadow broker's next move will be, and the FBI needs to act, and act fast.
If what the Russians did is so serious, should there be more retaliation than what the administration has just announced?
When the question was, would we respond to the hacking over a month ago, I said, some of what we did you will know, and some you will not know. And we've done both.
What you just witnessed is then Vice President Joe Biden directly threatening Russia, saying they will pay for their hack of the DNC and their interference with the upcoming US elections, which means Russia remains the main focus of the White House. The shadow brokers, however, disagrees with this. Assistant Attorney General Loretta Lynch stands at the head of the table, surrounded by officials from the NSA, FBI Cyber Division, and representatives from the National Security Council, when suddenly the shadow brokers released their second file dump, accompanied with a really taunting message.
Why is Dirty Grandpa threatening CIA cyber war with Russia? Why not threatening with NSA or Cyber Command? CIA is Cyber B team, yes? Where is Cyber A team? Maybe threatening is not being for external propaganda? Maybe is being for internal propaganda? Oldest control trick in book, yes? Waving flag, blaming problems on external sources, not taking responsibility for failures. Never minding, hacking DNC is way most important than equation groups losing capabilities. Amerikanskis is not knowing USA cyber capabilities is being screwed. Where is being free press? Is ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox negligent in duties of informing Amerikanskis? Guessing free press is not being free as in free beer, or free as in free of government influence.
This is just the first paragraph of the message. Shadow brokers decided to aim directly at the White House, singling out Joe Biden and mockingly calling him Grandpa. They started questioning why the CIA, not the NSA, is leading the cyber attacks against Russia. Why is the media not correctly reporting on the NSA's lost tools, the ones that shadow brokers hacked? According to them, this silence proves that the media isn't truly free, it's controlled by the government. Moreover, deep down in the message, they reveal their stance on the political spectrum by stating, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend." They reveal that their motives go beyond money. They're targeting what they perceive as the deep state. With Russia opposing similar forces, they view Putin as an ally rather than an adversary. Strangely though, no mention of the failed auction yet. However, the real significance lies in the files that they leaked. Instead of massive data, it's one zip file, a detailed list of IP addresses, websites, and domains that shadow brokers claim were used by the NSA to launch cyber attacks around the world. Cybersecurity experts worldwide confirm that these IP addresses are legit and were used by the NSA to compromise systems. Basically, by cross-referencing the IP addresses from the dump with the net flow data from any system, you could identify if one of those IP addresses appeared in your logs, and if it did, it means the system had been compromised by NSA. While this file dump wasn't major, it did strip one more cyber weapon from the NSA's arsenal. At this point, the FBI and NSA find themselves stuck. No leads, no evidence, no digital footprints. The shadow brokers are good at covering their tracks, leaving nothing behind. It's as if they don't exist. The investigation is going nowhere, and the pressure is mounting. The elections are just around the corner. This needs to have a solution as soon as possible. The FBI realized that the only explanation to this is someone inside the NSA is leaking this information. Desperate for answers, they know that failure to resolve this breach will send a clear message to the world. The United States is vulnerable. 2 devastating hacks in just 7 weeks is a disaster, so they need a solution, a scapegoat, someone to blame for everything. Back at the Attorney General's office, NSA and FBI representatives are gathered, seeking a search warrant to raid the house of a man living in Glen Burnie, Maryland, on the outskirts of Baltimore. You see, just a few hours ago, something exceptional happened. The NSA tipped the FBI to a cryptic tweet posted by an account called @hal_999999999. The account bio reads,
Vive la mode, vive la guerre, vive le sacré mercenaire, working to mature capabilities, cambric.
The French words translate to long live death, long live war, long live the sacred mercenary. The account has a link to a YouTube video of a Blackwater sniper killing 100 insurgents posted 13 years ago. Unfortunately, the cryptic tweet is nowhere to be found online, but whatever was written was enough to alert the highest authorities of the United States. The guy behind the post is a middle-aged man, Harold T. Martin III. You see, Harold was the perfect profile for a rogue agent. After leaving the Navy in 1992, he took on various tech jobs as a government contractor, primarily for Booz Allen Hamilton, the world's most profitable spy agency. You might remember it as the same firm that employed Edward Snowden. Martin's work had him moving between Booz Allen and the NSA, where he worked with Tailored Access Operations, an elite hacking unit within the NSA, better known by their codename Equation Group. Harold is working for the very group targeted by the shadow brokers. Now the FBI and NSA are closing in on him. Without any proof, the Attorney General Loretta Lynch is convinced that Harold is the one leaking to the shadow brokers. With a signature and a stamp, the search warrant is granted. It's early morning in Maryland. The streets are sealed off. One by one, dozens of agents step out of their vehicles, their faces obscured by black balaclavas. They wear heavy tactical vests emblazoned with the word SWAT, carrying Heckler & Koch MP5 submachine guns. Their vehicles form a closed perimeter around the house. Inside, Harold T. Martin III has no idea what's about to hit him. The leader gestures silently, signaling his team to spread out. Flashbang grenades explode as the agents breach the door. They begin storming through the rooms, shouting commands, and within minutes, they have Martin in custody. In Martin's house, and even visible through the windows of his car, there are stacks of classified documents, 50 terabytes worth of highly sensitive information, some dating back 20 years. Among the files are documents marked not just as classified, but as need to know only, restricted to the most trusted members of the intelligence community. And yet, here they are, sitting unsecured in plain view. It turns out Martin stole materials from the CIA, the NSA, the United States Cyber Command, the Department of Defense, and the National Reconnaissance Office, and also has been doing so for the past 2 decades. The FBI found exactly what they were hoping for, not just a scapegoat, but maybe the man even responsible for the leak. After Harold T. Martin III was apprehended, the FBI transported him to a secured federal detention facility for interrogation. For about 2 months, everything went silent. No leaks, no updates, nothing. It seems like the chaos had settled. But then, on October 15th, 2016, shadow brokers dropped a bomb.
The Shadow Brokers is deciding to leak the Bill Clinton-Loretta Lynch airplane conversation, but first, the Shadow Brokers is having other announcement. The Shadow Brokers is being bored with auction, so no more auction. Auction off, auction finish, auction done. No winners. So who is wanting password? The Shadow Brokers is publicly posting the password when received 10,000 Bitcoin. Same Bitcoin address, same file, password is crowdfunding. Sharing risk, sharing reward, everyone winning. And now the Shadow Brokers is presenting the Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch Arizona airplane conversation. Be enjoying.
For the first time, shadow brokers addressed their failed auction, announcing a new, significantly lower price of 10,000 Bitcoin, which was far more accessible than the original 1 million Bitcoin. But the message took a disturbing turn, describing an alleged 2006 meeting between former President Bill Clinton and Attorney General Loretta Lynch on a tarmac, the same woman who approved the search warrant. The rest of the message devolved into describing the intimate relations that occurred between the two on the plane. I won't subject you to it, but if that's your thing, you can check out the video's description below. There is no file dump this time, but the post made two things clear. The shadow brokers were still active, and Harold Martin, the man in FBI custody, couldn't possibly be responsible for these posts. He was already in the hands of law enforcement. However, a few months later, the world is about to change forever.
Right now, a historic moment. We can now project the winner of the presidential race. CNN projects Donald Trump wins the presidency.
Donald Trump takes office as the new president of the United States. Initially, he's seen as a friend to Russia and by extension, a friend to the shadow brokers. But in April, everything changes.
My fellow Americans, a short time ago, I ordered the United States Armed Forces to launch precision strikes on targets associated with the chemical weapons capabilities of Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad.
In a significant speech, Trump announces a precision military strike on Syria, a key ally of Russia. And by targeting Syria, Trump indirectly targets Russia, a move that the shadow brokers view as a betrayal. The response is swift and decisive. They release another post on Medium titled "Don't Forget Your Base." It's their biggest, the most devastating, and it's the last message that they will ever send.
Dear President Trump, respectfully, what the fuck are you doing? The shadow brokers voted for you. The shadow brokers supports you. The shadow brokers is losing faith in you. Mr. Trump helping the shadow brokers, helping you, is appearing you are abandoning your base, the movement, and the peoples who getting you elected. The peoples who's voted for you voted against the Republican Party, the party that tried to destroying your character in the primaries. The peoples who voted for you voted against the Democrat Party, the party that hates, mocks, and laughs at you. Without the support of the peoples who voted for you, what do you think will be happening to your presidency? Without the support of the people who voted for you, do you think you'll be still making America great again? The shadow brokers doesn't want this to be happening to you, Mr. Trump. The shadow brokers is wanting to see you succeed. The shadow brokers is wanting America to be great again. Mr. Trump, whose war are you fighting? Israeli nationalists, Zionists, and Goldman Sachs' war? You not being in office 3 months and already you looking like the MI6's bitch with John McCain and Chuck Schumer double Dutch ruddering each other in the corner over dead corpses.
This time, shadow brokers are directly addressing U.S. leadership. Their dissatisfaction is clear. They're not happy with how the country is being run. They accuse Trump of betraying the voters who supported him by striking Syria and removing Steve Bannon from the National Security Council. They claim Trump has aligned with bankers, globalists, and the military-industrial complex instead of fighting for, quote, the movement that elected him. However, at the end of the message, they posted the password to decrypt most of the entire collection of files. Most of the stuff that they had taken from the NSA is now out in the open, accessible to anyone for free. For the shadow brokers, this isn't about money anymore. It's It's an act of defiance, a statement of rebellion against the US government. For the FBI, this is a full-scale cyber terrorist attack, one of the first of its kind, and they'll be acting as such. The leak files include 67 Windows executables, zero-day exploits, IP addresses, drivers, Trojan horses, and a range of other cyber weapons, all developed by Equation Group. While some of these files were outdated with vulnerabilities already patched by Microsoft and others, a few were groundbreaking. Pay attention. One exploit allowed hackers to edit Windows event logs, not just clear them. This is huge because event logs are treated as sacred in digital forensics. There are entire textbooks on clearing logs, but it's impossible to surgically edit them. This was an exclusive privilege given to the NSA. Overnight, that exploit is now given to the world. However, the most dangerous exploit is called Eternal Blue. It targets a vulnerability in the SMB v1 protocol used by Windows systems. Specifically, it exploits a flaw known as CVE-2017-0144, allowing attackers to execute arbitrary code remotely by sending specifically crafted messages to the SMB v1 server. Eternal Blue takes advantage of 3 bugs, including a mathematical error that leads to a buffer overflow and memory allocation issues, which in turn lets attackers control the system. Simply put, this is an exploit that can be used to remotely access Windows computers running SMB, which was something that was installed by default on all Windows machines, making millions and millions and millions of Windows computers vulnerable to this exploit. Eternal Blue was a game changer. This was the biggest of all of their exploits, and it had just landed in the hands of the general public for any hacker in the world to use. In fact, in May 2017, just a month after the Eternal Blue exploit was leaked, the world saw the devastating WannaCry ransomware attack.
Now back to the major cyber attack, the ransomware crippling 200,000 computers in 150 countries.
Hospitals paralyzed, surgeries halted.
Experts are calling the WannaCry the largest cyber attack
in the history of the world.
This malware, propagated with Eternal Blue, spread to over 300,000 computers across 150 countries. While Microsoft quickly released updates to fix the exploit, the ransomware primarily impacted organizations that had not yet applied these updates or were running outdated Windows systems, leaving them open to the attack. The WannaCry cyber attack caused billions of dollars in losses worldwide. Banks, hospitals, governments, businesses worldwide were hit. The biggest chip manufacturer in the world, TSMC, had to halt its manufacturing due to the attack. WannaCry ransomware was so catastrophic that it prompted a public response from the White House.
While victims received ransom demands, paying those demands did not unlock their computers. This was a careless and reckless attack. It affected individuals, industry, governments, and the consequences were beyond economic. The computers affected badly in the UK, and their healthcare system put lives at risk, not just money. After careful investigation, the United States is publicly attributing the massive WannaCry cyber attack to North Korea. We do not make this allegation lightly. We do so with evidence, and we do so with partners.
Eternal Blue might go down as one of the most successful and devastating cyber weapons in history. And with their final file dump, the shadow brokers vanished. That last message marked the end of their communications, a silence that continues to this day. As for Harold T. Martin III, he pled guilty to his charges and was sentenced to 9 years in prison, along with 3 years supervised release and a hefty fine of $250,000. Yet no evidence ever linked him to the shadow brokers. Despite hoarding decades of classified information, he never accessed any of the stolen files outside of government facilities. According to the controversy, many of Martin's statements were ruled inadmissible because the FBI failed to provide him a Miranda warning during his initial questioning. But here's the thing, while the Eternal Blue exploit caused financial disaster worldwide, it wasn't created by the shadow brokers. It was built by the NSA, funded by taxpayers like you and me. So who's really to blame here? To this day, the identity of the shadow brokers remains a mystery. Are they Russian, North Korean, American, or someone else entirely? No one knows. What we do know is that they pulled off the most successful hack in history, exposing vulnerabilities in a way that no one had done before. The shadow brokers are still out there, popping up occasionally, though without the chaos of their earlier leaks. For now, they remain in the shadows, their legacy a chilling reminder of how vulnerable even the most powerful systems can be. That's it for this week. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked our video, we'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. As always, see you guys next time.